Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another Mad Meta Magic. RGNK Phoenix sent me this deck. It's a Through the Breach combo list, so very much a blue-red sort of tempo control deck that tries to close out the game with Through the Breaching Emrakul. This deck... oh, excuse me, one moment. Okay, I think I got that out of my system. This deck is very much focused on just trying to control until it gets to 5 mana, which it does by playing lands naturally. And you cantrip, you cast counter spells, you lightning bolt threats that try and end the game early. You try and get your opponent to either 15 life or keep them under 6 permanents, and then Through the Breach Emrakul, kill your opponent. What's interesting about this list, because I know this deck is sometimes a meta deck, is the sideboard. So the sideboard is we basically take out the Through the Breach combo and just play like a blue-red tempo list with Delver and Blood Moon, so kind of like Blue Moon. I've never in my life been a huge fan of transformative sideboards, but this seems like one of the more reasonable ones because you're already sort of playing that game plan up on your way to the Through the Breach combo. So I'm interested to see how this goes, and yeah, I don't have a lot else to say about this deck. I think I've explained it adequately enough, so I'll see you guys in round 1. Long queue times today. Alrighty, we will be on the draw for round 1. Now, my opponent is playing a Yorion deck. This could be the Enigmatic Incarnation, this could be the Nivdalite version, this could be the Scapeshift version, this could be some mishmash of all of them. We have Force of Negation and Remand, as well as some Snapcasters to buy stuff back, so I think I'm going to keep this. Opponent starts Verdant Catacombs, fetches up a Forest, and Abundant Growths, sure. Abundant Growth effectively acts as a Arkham's Astrolabe, but it's only in green and doesn't involve snow at all. If that were Utopia Sprawl, I would consider forcing it, but it isn't, so we'll play Flooded Strand and pass. Opponent untaps, plays a Misty, cracks Misty, gets a Steam Vents, untapped, plays Renin 6. I will force that. I'm going to pitch a Snapcaster Mage, pass the turn, crack Flooded Strand, we'll get a Steam Vents tapped, untap, we draw a Lightning Bolt, play an Island, pass the turn. Just leave up Remand here. Opponent plays a Temple Garden tapped. I think I'm going to Lightning Bolt my opponent here. It's really easy to just get them under 15. We untap and draw a Magmatic Sinkhole, play Flooded Strand, pass the turn. If they do nothing, I'll be very tempted to wheel my entire hand away. If they cast something, we'll either Remand or Sinkhole, depending on what it is and how it's going to affect us. They play Pillar of the Perins. So this is 4 mana for multicolored spells. Omnath. Did they play a land this turn? I think they did because they have 4 lands out. Now I could Remand here. I think Magmatic Sinkhole is a better use of mana, though. Opponent gets to draw. That's okay. So fetch with Flooded Strand. I'm gonna basic Island. Sinkhole the Omnath. Getting rid of everything but Lightning Bolt. Draw Lightning Bolt. I think I am going to play Valakut Stoneforge as a land here. Pass the turn. A lot of what my opponent casts is going to be expensive, and I don't think they play that many counter spells, at least not in the main deck. So I'm comfortable. I feel protected by Remand here. Opponent plays Prismatic Vista. Cracks Prismatic Vista. Gets a Forest. They're starting to get low enough that a non-zero number of bolts will kill them, and we have 2 bolts in hand, effectively. Opponent is going to Unmoored Ego. Well, let's Remand. I don't want them seeing what's going on yet, but an Unmoored Ego does make me feel concerned about the combo. So, bolt our opponent. We untap, draw Through the Breach, play Sulphur Falls, pass the turn. Opponent will likely Unmoored Ego again. Well, the question is, are they sandbagging a land? They play Teferi. Well, we can either Snapcaster Bolt or Snapcaster Remand, and I think the Remand play is stronger. We just have to draw Emrakul within the next couple of draws here, and we are playing 4 of them. Okay, if my opponent doesn't have land on Mordigo, on Through the Breach, or Emrakul, we've got him. And they do. If they unmordigo one of those cards, we at least get a draw out of the deal, but I think my opponent is debating about whether to play unmordigo or whether to play Teferi. Okay, unmordigo. So, it's not generally a secret that we would be playing these cards, and opponent might feel like they've got us after this. Archmage's Charm. That's not it. Opponents... unless they've got a Force of Negation, they're gonna feel very sad about what's about to happen. They exile some Archmage's Charms, and concede. So they now know we're the Through the Breach combo. Now, they might think we're kind of weak to the Unmordigo effect, and in the general case, they might be right. So I think we're gonna go ahead and perform the old switcheroo on them. I'm gonna bring in Brazen Borrower for more beatdown. Let's see. So we're taking out 8 cards. What are we bringing in? I like the Brazen Borrower. We can probably get away with Bedlam Reveler. Delver, I think, is a little bit better. So if I was to do it like this, how many instants and sorceries do we have? 16, 23, 25, 26. Not bad. I would be a little concerned. I'm wondering if we should bring in Bedlam Reveler as well, or Blood Moon. My opponent is playing a 5-color deck, and I imagine that Blood Moon's quite powerful. I'm gonna try bringing in Blood Moon. Opponent got a good look at our deck, so us being a completely different deck is going to be quite the surprise. And for Blood Moon, I think I'm going to cut 1 charm. Well, Archmage's Charm is really good. It's just gonna be a little harder to cast. I'm gonna cut 1 charm and an opt. We'll try it like this. Okay, well, I think even with a Serum Visions, I probably can't keep a 1-lander, so I'm going to mulligan that. This is a little bit better, with no threats, though. And if I keep this, I'm putting back either Awakening or Charm. Probably Charm. Did my opponent keep 7? They kept 7. Alright, I'm going to keep this and put back Charm. Opponent starts Misty Rainforest and passes. We draw Scalding Tarn. So, Serum Visions. We draw Delver. All of these cards to the bottom. We don't need any more lands at the time being. Opponent cracks Misty. Gets a basic forest. They untap. Play Wooded Foothills. Crack Wooded Foothills. So they're probably playing a Renin 6 here. Which, oh, I shouldn't... I guess I shouldn't have brought in Delver, because they're playing Renin 6. And Renin 6 is very difficult for us to answer. So they uptick picking up a land. We untap and draw Remand. I think playing Delver is stronger than leaving up Remand here. Okay, opponent plays Windswept Teeth. Pings Delver, which is kind of what I was hoping they would do, because now I can bolt the Renin 6. So stop on my opponent's end step. Lightning Bolt. Okay. Untap. We draw an opt. Play Scalding Tarn. Pass the turn. Now we have Remand plus opt, or Valakut Awakening. Opponent fetches up an Indatha Triome. Passes. They play a Misty, and they pass. I'm gonna opt, and then probably fetch a basic island. Steam Vents to the bottom. 3rd Remand. Fetch with Scalding Tarn. Get an island. Untap. We draw Cryptic. Play Valakut Stoneforge. Pass the turn. Okay. Opponent fetches with Misty. Gets an Overgrown Tomb tapped. They untap. Play Prismatic Vista. 4 mana. So they crack Prismatic Vista. They may have just fetched up the wrong basic if they're trying to do a 5-color Bring to Light. Because blue and red are on the same land right now. Alright. Opponent passes. Yeah, I think they made a mistake there. We draw Brazen Borrower. So, pass the turn. Opponent Lightning Helixes us. That's fine. They untap. Play Pillar of the Parents. They tap Pillar for blue, so this is Bring to Light, or Niv Mizzet. Yeah, they're tapping it for red. The other color they didn't have on Steam Vents there. Okay. They're leaving up Forest here. I think they're saying that they've got a Veil of Summer. I'm going to Remand this to play around Veil. Okay, we draw Snapcaster. We untap. Draw a mountain. Perfect. Play a mountain. Now we have Remand plus Borrower. We have Remand plus Snap Bolt. We've got, you know, Cryptic Command playing around Daze. Lots of fun things. Opponent plays to Fairy. So let's Remand. We draw Force. They play to Fairy again. I think I'm just going to cast Force. I know I need to get on the board, but Fairy's kind of a big problem. We untap. Draw Steam Vents. Shock Steam Vents. Pass the turn. This gives me Remand, Snap, Remand, or Remand Cryptic, which is why I'm fine taking the damage here. So I think they're going to try casting Bring to Light again. They're still leaving up the green mana. So, Remand. They're going to Veil of Summer. Do I want to Cryptic Veil? I actually think I do. We draw Force. And we draw Steam Vents. Untap. We draw another Snapcaster. Shock Steam Vents. Pass the turn. Now we have Snapcaster Remand plus Hardcast Force. I've cast so many Remands this game. Alright. Snapcaster. Snapcaster Remand. I could have Snapcastered Cryptic bouncing Snapcaster, but that does not play very well around another Veil of Summer. Opponent Utopia Sprawls, that's fine. I could Brazen Borrower and bounce that, but I honestly think I'm just going to flash Brazen Borrower and we're going to try and go aggro here, because we've got to end this game quickly. Untap. I almost think one of the Brazen Borrowers in the side should be a Vendilion Click. Go to combat. Hit them for 5. Okay, they go to 11. Pass the turn. Now, if they cast Bring to Light again, I'm going to cast Force of Negation, just hard cast, because if I can, I'm going to use the Snapcaster on a Bolt, I think. They cast Omnath. I could Snap Cryptic. I could also just Snap Remand. I don't really want to do that. If they play a land, they're gaining 4 life, which is actually kind of huge here. I guess we're going to try Snap Remand. I guess I could Snap Cryptic. Bounce Snapcaster Mage. Let's see. If I leave Snapcaster on board, this is 7. Okay, we're remanding. Because if we draw another Bolt, I think they're dead. Remand Omnath. We draw Flooded Strand. It was about time we drew a land anyway. And now they're passing. Cast Brazen Borrower. Untap. We draw another Snapcaster Mage. Okay. Opponent Lightning Helixes. We just hard cast Force. Go to combat. Hit them for 10. And then we'll just Snapcaster Bolt to finish the game. Awesome. That was pretty good, and I think the transformative plan actually worked there. Because we just had, like, more counter spells. Like, we didn't bring any in, but the Brazen Borrowers definitely allowed us to apply pressure we couldn't have otherwise. So, opponent also downtick Renin 6 into a Lightning Bolt, which is pretty exciting, because that was what I was hoping for when I made that play, but I really didn't think they were going to make it, so... Alright, well, I will see you all in round 2. Yes. Remandtron. Honestly, I think this is a very powerful hand that this deck can have. We're against a Luris opponent, and if it's Mill, we're going to laugh, but I think I'm going to keep this. If we get Thought Seized, it is Mill. Oh, no, opponent! If they've got Surgicals, we might be in trouble. In the main deck, anyway. We'll start Serum Visions. Let's see what we draw here. Snapcaster Mage. Emrakul to the bottom. I don't want them knowing about Emrakul yet, if possible. I would much rather them have, like, a big mill turn, and then we, like, shuffle an Emrakul back in. Second Crab. One of the strong starts for mill. They play a Field of Ruin, and they mill us for 6. Alright. We're gonna get milled a lot, and in short order. Alright, we untap. We draw another Emrakul. Play an island. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. Well, we've got a Remand. They pick up Obero. They're going to mill us for 6. They mill through the breach and Archmage's Charm, so they probably suspect something at this point. Opponent passes. We untap. Draw Force. Alright, play Serum Visions. We need to get to 3 lands. They've got Surgical on through the breach. Alright, they're going to see we have multiple Emrakuls in hand. And that Surgical is at least a Surgical they didn't throw on Emrakul, so let's hope they don't have a second one and don't ever draw a second one. They also know we have Force of Negation now, so that's something we should worry about. Because they'll Surgical on our turn if possible. Alright, we draw Snapcaster Mage. Emrakul to the bottom. Archmage's Charm to the bottom. Pass the turn. We'll have to discard Emrakul. There's really no choice here. Alright, they did not have a second Surgical. That is promising. They play a land. They get some Hedron Crab Mills. Scalding Tarn, Sinkhole, and then into an Emrakul. Shuffle up. They pass. We untap. Draw a Mountain. Play a Mountain. Pass the turn. Alright, opponent untaps. They play a Watery Grave. They mill us. Lightning Bolt. Remand Island. Okay. So I think I'm going to Snapcaster Bolt the Ruin Crab. Or at least try to, anyway. I don't really want to protect this with Force. And I think if they had something there, I wouldn't have. We untap and draw an Opt. Lead on Opt. Opt to the bottom. We draw Valakut Awakening, which I am going to play as a land. Go to combat. They can field that if they want to, but that's going to give us a mana. And while they can probably get us with the Search Punish card... Okay. They push Snapcaster Mage, so Snapcaster down. Pass the turn. Yeah, they could get us with Archive Trap, but we still have Emrakuls, so get an island. Opponent mills us. Okay. Pass to our opponent's turn. They play a crab, sure. They pick up Obero. They replay it, milling us for 6. We mill a Lightning Bolt and a Sinkhole. Then they pass. I'm going to Snapcaster Sinkhole, because the odds are we're going to probably draw another... we're going to draw another Snapcaster, and we want Lightning Bolt to go to face. And if I exile Lightning Bolt, there's less chance that we draw Lightning Bolt. Plus, with Sinkhole, I can exile cards I don't want to redraw, such as the fetch lands. So we'll shoot Hedron Crab. Get rid of the fetch lands. Probably an Opt, another Opt, and I guess a Remand. Okay. We untap. Draw Scalding Tarn. Play Scalding Tarn. Go to combat. Attack for 2. No blocks for the opponent. They go to 14. We pass. They untap. They mill us. Sure. We hit Emrakul. They're going to Crypt Incursion us. Remand Crypt Incursion. We draw an Opt. Shuffle up. Opponent passes. I mean, even if that had resolved, they only hit a couple of Snapcasters, and I'm going to shock this, because I want to cast Opt and still want Remand here. I will pick up a Lightning Bolt. We untap. We draw. Emrakul. Well, we don't want to have all Emrakuls in hand. Go to combat, hit our opponent for 2. They go to 12. Pass the turn. Opponent plays a Dark Slick Shores, mills us for 3. Milling Valakut Awakening, Opt, and Sulphur Falls. They put Lurrus into their hand. And they pass. Sure. We untap. Draw Flooded Strand. Play Flooded Strand. Go to combat. Attack for 2. No blocks by the opponent. They go to 10. So we know they're holding Lurrus. Opponent untaps. They play Lurrus. We play Remand. We draw an island. They play a fetch land. They mill us. Okay. Then they pass. So we fetch with Flooded Strand. Get an island. Untap. We draw another Remand. I think I'm going to try and draw up to 8 cards to discard an Emrakul. So the only spell I want to cast in the short term is Remand. Hit them for 2. They go to 8. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. They play Glimpse the Unthinkable. I think this is actually okay. They hit Emrakul. And all of our Snapcaster mages. We have exactly 20 cards in the grave, so they get to draw 3 off of this. We're going to let that resolve, because we don't really have a choice there. Second Visions, sure. I think they're hoping for a Surgical. If not, if they don't have it, they're going to cast Crypt Incursion here. They just let Emrakul resolve. Okay? That's fine with us. They play Ruin Crab. I will remand the Ruin Crab. We draw Scalding Tarn. They play the Ruin Crab, okay. They play a fetch land. They mill, hit Emrakul. Emrakul shuffles in. And they are passing. Okay. I'm going to bolt Ruin Crab. They crack Polluted Delta, going to 7. They don't have that many basics left, so they may actually have to shock a Watery Grave here. They mill us for 3. Mill us for 3. This is kind of striking me as maybe they're going to cast a Drown in the Lock, is what I was trying to say, and like for some reason could not summon up the brain power to just say it. Play Scalding Tarn, go to combat, attack our opponent for 2. No blocks for the opponent. They go to 5. They untap. They could actually Crypt Incursion themselves. That is something I should be aware of. So they play Lurrus. Let's remand. We draw Valakut Awakening. They mill us. So I'm going to cast Valakut Awakening here. Maybe I should wait until my untap, because then I'll have enough mana to protect it with maybe a Force. Okay. Untap. We draw Cryptic. Play an island. Go to combat. Attack them for 2. They are a Lightning Bolt away from death if they don't block. They don't block. They go to 3. Okay. They untap. So on their upkeep, I am going to Valakut Awakening. Putting back Flooded Strand, Emrakul. Any order. Let's see, I can Snapcaster Lightning Bolt with double Force backup. I think I'm going to try it. I'm glad I'm doing this on my opponent's turn because of Force. I could actually potentially remand and try and draw a different blue card, but that's probably getting a little greedy. They're going to Drown in the Lock. Force of Negation, Drown in the Lock. We know they're holding Crypt Incursion. And I'm, in a way, trying to bait them into casting it. But if they have another counterspell here, we'll have to let the counterspell resolve. So Snapcaster target Lightning Bolt. Bolt them. Maybe I should have pitched Cryptic first, actually. Okay, opponent fetches with Polluted Delta. Mills us. Fetches with Flooded Strand. Mills us. They get a Watery Grave tapped. They hit Emrakul. They cast Crypt Incursion. So we'll go for the Force. Force resolves. Emrakul resolves. And we get there with the Lightning Bolt. That was a very long game 1. So game 2... Let's see, what are we doing here? I think we want Mystical Dispute. Probably over Sinkhole. Anger is tempting because Anger exiles their crabs without giving them the chance to replay them off Lurrus later, or potentially Crypt Incursion themselves. I don't think we want Delver, and I don't think we want Brazen Borrower simply because of Crypt Incursion, and I don't want to take out the Emrakul plan because of the constant reshuffle. I think I'm going to bring in an Anger over a Serum Visions, and we're going to try it like this. Blood Moon is tempting because they play a lot of non-basics, but... Alright, I am going to keep this. I don't want to fetch until we have to. Opponent starts Island Crab. We untap, draw Opt. Steam Vents. Lightning Bolt. There's some notion that maybe I should do this on their upkeep, but if they're willing to go to 2 cards in hand for force, or like by casting force here, I think that's actually better than us bolting the crab. Okay, opponent has second crab and mills us. We untap, draw Emrakul, play an island, pass the turn, leave up Remand. We also have opt. Opponent untaps. They got nothing. Okay. On their end step, let's opt. I would keep a lightning bolt if I found one. Honestly, probably going to keep the force. We untap, draw Snapcaster, play Flooded Strand, pass the turn. So we would not counter any charms, or not charms. We would not counter the traps, but we would counter surgical here. So I think what I'm going to do is on their upkeep, I'm going to search for an island. And if they do nothing their whole turn, we'll Snapcaster Bolt to kill Ruin Crab. I could have Snapcaster Bolt on their upkeep, I guess. They mill us for 3, milling a Through the Breach. They're going to Archive Trap us. Sure. They hit 3 Emrakuls. They're going to Visions of Beyond. I will counter Visions of Beyond. And then if they surgical, we can force pitching Remand. The only way this is bad is if they have like 2 surgicals in hand. They're going to drown in the lock. So we are going to force drown in the lock, pitching Remand. That resolves. That resolves. Shuffle up. Okay. We untap. Draw Scalding Tarn. Play Scalding Tarn. I could Archmage's Charm to take their crab. It's very tempting. I'm going to fetch up an island here. It's the least likely time for them to have a trap. Okay, pass the turn. They play a crab. They sided in such a way they no longer have Lurrus as a companion. I just realized that. That's really important. I don't know what exactly that means, but it's very important. So we're going to Archmage's Charm ourself. Get Force of Negation plus Mana Leak. That's pretty strong. Untap. We draw another Archmage's Charm. Okay, pass the turn. What permanent would they have in their deck that's 3 mana or more? Maybe they could just have forgotten to declare Lurrus, but I feel like that is suboptimal. Alright, so they're going to mill us for 3, mill us for 3 more, and they're going to pass. So now we're going to draw cards. We get a Through the Breach and a Serum Visions. Come on, land. Remand. Okay. Serum Visions. We draw a Snapcaster Mage, Island Opt. I'm bottoming both of these because we're going to get milled anyway. Pass the turn. We're very close to winning. Okay, opponent untaps. They are passing. Okay. We untap. Draw Steam Vents. Shock a Steam Vents. Pass the turn. We're going to try and Through the Breach on their end step, and then back it up with Force of Negation, basically. Opponent untaps, draws a 3rd card. It is unlikely they have 2 counter spells that work here. Cast Through the Breach. Okay, we'll force pitching Snapcaster. And the game is over. We did it! We dodged all of the mills on our Emrakuls and played rather intelligently, I'd think. I will see you all in round 3. Alright, for round 3 we will be on the draw. And I feel like this is an okay start, so we're going to keep. Opponent starts Flagstones into Thraben Inspector. Interesting. We draw another Emrakul, play Flooded Strand, pass the turn. Flagstones automatically makes me think Smallpox, land destruction. Opponent attacks us for 1. Sure. They play Ghost Quarter, so probably is a Death and Taxes-y kind of deck. Play an island, pass the turn. They draw a card. Opponent hits us for 1, sure. We'll go down to 18. They play a field. They Ghost Quarter themselves, getting a Plains and a Mistveil Plains, interesting, into a Ranger Captain of Eos, Shock Steam Vents, Remand, we draw a land, untap, draw another land, opt, Scalding Tarn to the bottom, play Sulphur Falls, pass the turn. Alright, opponent untaps. This could be mono white Heliod combo. They hit us for 1. We just need to draw Through the Breach, really. Oh, it's a Maria. Okay. Opponent plays a Ranger Captain. Sure. Mono White Ameria. They get Martyr. Okay. We untap. Well, when you draw only lands... I guess maybe I should have played Flooded Strand and searched up a basic. Opponent goes to combat. They're going to hit us for 4. We go to 10. They play a Plains. Play Martyr. Then pass. We untap. We draw through the breach. Play an island. I'm not going to play around the Mana Tithe. If they've got it, they got it. Put Emrakul into play. Go to combat. They can gain a ton of life, but they lose most of their permanents. Alright. I'm surprised they didn't keep the Ranger Captain and go down to 1 land. They play Martyr. They pass. We untap. Draw an opt. Go ahead and opt. Force of Negation to the bottom. Draw Steam Vents. Play Flooded Strand. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. They go to combat. Hit us for 1. Sure. Play Mistvale Plains. Sack Flooded Strand. Get an island. Untap. We get a Lightning Bolt. Play Flooded Strand, pass the turn. Opponent untaps. They go to combat. Hit us for 1. We have to save our Lightning Bolt just in case they play like Ranger Captain or something. Stoneforge Mystic. Okay. Let's see what they get. Probably Batterskull. Yep. Okay. Bolt Stoneforge. Fetch. Get an island. Untap. We draw Serum Visions, cast Serum Visions. We draw through the breach. Snapcaster opt, put to the bottom. Cast through the breach. Put Emrakul into play. Go to combat. And there's the game. Whew. Okay, so versus our opponent's deck, we're bringing in Anger of the Gods. But I don't think we go on the creature plan here. I feel like the creature plan is a lot better versus control or decks that are specifically able to hate out our combo very effectively. I really think we're just going to bring in this Anger of the Gods to sweep a big board that they might build up. And I think Force of Negation is less important. It might still be very important, but we'll see. I'm not sure what hate my opponent can have for me here, but we'll just do our best. Well, I think we keep. This is a pretty straightforward combo hand. Opponent starts Speaker of the Heavens. I believe I am going to bolt that immediately. If it doesn't get answered immediately, this is very easy for them to just martyr and start making 4/4s on turn 2. So we got to make sure that dies. Opponent plays an Ameria, plays Thraben Inspector. We untap, draw Snapcaster Mage, play Flooded Strand, and pass the turn. We're looking to maybe get a good remand off here. Remand. Always, I can't say words. Opponent goes to combat. Hits us for 1, sure. We go to 16. They play a Snow-Covered Plains, and they play Sword of Light and Shadow. Now, I'm not particularly impressed by this, but I still think Remand is the proper call here. Second through the breach. We untap, draw an island, play an island, pass the turn. Now, we can Snapcaster Bolt if my opponent plays a creature that we find particularly scary. If they don't, I think we just opt. If they just replay Sword, we're going to let them have it. Because we can just bolt the Thraben Inspector. They play a Mistvale Plains. They play a Sword. So, Snapcaster Mage. Target Lightning Bolt. Bolt Thraben Inspector. Okay. Sword resolves. We untap. We draw a mountain. Play an island. Go to combat. Attack them for 2. And we have Through the Breach Emrakul next turn. They shouldn't have anything with haste. They play Relic. Relic doesn't really do much to us here. They play Skyclave Apparition. Okay, let's opt. Through the Breach number 3 to the bottom. We draw a Snapcaster Mage. This is fine. Exile Snapcaster. I'm going to Snapcaster opt at their end step just because I want another 2-power attacker. Maybe they crack the Relic and have 1 less permanent that's irrelevant they can sack. Alright, opponent is passing. So, Snapcaster opt. Okay, exile Relic. Sure. We untap. Draw Cryptic. Play Mountain. Through the Breach. Put Emrakul into play. Go to combat. And attack for 17. Opponent needs to sack 6 permanents. They sack Skyclave, they sack a Clue. They change their mind. They sack Flagstones, Emeria, Mistvale Plains. I think they're trying to keep Skyclave and Sword. Though that doesn't actually save... I don't actually think they can keep all of those. Yeah, so they sack all of their non-land permanents. They should sack Flagstones, because it goes and gets them a Plains. And then they need to sack 2 other lands. Okay. So opponent gives us a token, gets a land off of Flagstones, and goes to 1 life. Okay. They're at 1, we have 2 lethal creatures. And if they don't remove both of them, if they just play blockers, we might be able to just Cryptic tap. And tap and draw an opt. So let's opt. Mana Leak to the bottom, Cryptic should be enough. Play an island. Go to combat. Attack them for 4. So they need to chump and sack Martyr. They can gain up to 6 life if the last 2 cards in their hand are both white. Proclamation of Rebirth and Ranger of Eos. They go to 5. Okay. They play a tap land. They can cast Proclamation of Rebirth and get back Martyr. If they do that, I Cryptic. Counter draw. We draw an island, untap. And we draw Valakut Awakening. Cast Valakut Awakening, and I think I put both of these cards back. Because we just need to draw a Lightning Bolt and they die this turn. Any order. Alright, Mana Leak's still fine. Play Sulphur Falls, go to combat. Hit them for 4 down to 1. Opponent's last card in hand is Ranger of Eos, however you pronounce that. Mana Leak. Man, even without Mystic Sanctuary, this deck can counter everything of consequence. It feels like if your opponent's not playing a ridiculous number of Veil of Summers or blue, you're probably just going to win. Like, look at this, we haven't dropped a single game. I'll see you guys in round 4. Alright, we will be on the draw for round 4. This hand is okay, basically because of Force. I really am not a fan of keeping hands in this deck so far without having some way to cantrip. But I'm going to try keeping this off the strength of Lightning Bolt and Force, and we'll see what happens. Opponent starts Mountain. Okay. We draw through the breach, play Scalding Tarn. Pass the turn. Porter Hush. Opponent plays a Cascade Bluffs. I wonder if they're playing the same deck we are. Fetch a Scalding Tarn. Or fetch Scalding Tarn to get Steam Vents tapped. Untap. We draw an opt. Play an island. Pass the turn. If I have to force anything, I'm pitching Cryptic to it. Opponent plays Reflecting Pool, so this is either Kiki combo or Through the Breach combo. Let's go ahead and opt. Opt to the bottom. Well, we have Emrakul. We just need to get lands now. We draw Cryptic. Pass the turn, and I'm going to discard Cryptic Command. Opponent untaps. This is the danger of keeping a hand that doesn't cantrip in this deck. Porter Hush. There's nothing you need to worry about, buddy. We draw a Remand. Pass the turn. Porter, quit woofing. Discard Cryptic. Opponent plays a Riverglide Pathway. The reason I'm not bolting is because there's a good chance we need to bolt on Kiki or something like that. Shock Steam Vents. Pass the turn. Hey, I don't know what you're hearing, but you don't need to worry about it. Opponent opts. I'm seeing a lot of Blood Moonable lands. So, like, they don't play a lot of basic islands, presumably to stay away from, like, choke being an issue, but by doing that, they're kind of playing into a Blood Moon. Maybe that matters. I think I'm going to go ahead and try a Snapcaster Opt here, because we need to get some lands. Opponent remands our Opt from the grave. Porter, you're fine. That's fine. They get a draw out of that. We untap. We draw a Mountain. Play a Mountain. Go to combat. Attack them for 2. Hit them down to 18. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. Plays an island. Passes. We untap. Draw a Lightning Bolt. We go to combat. Attack. Well, we have Bolt, Bolt, Remand. Opponent Snapcaster Mage. Targets Opt. They block. That's fine. Pass the turn. They flashback Opt on our end step. They untap. And they're passing. I'm going to bolt them once. This just makes Emrakul lethal if it hits. We draw Scalding Tarn, play Scalding Tarn, pass the turn. They are through the breach. I'm going to Force of Negation through the breach. They're going to force our force. Pitching Cryptic. Well, we have to remand a spell here. If we remand through the breach, we're dead. If we remand their force and they draw, or they have any other blue cards in hand, which they probably do, we're dead. And if I remand my force, I have to draw a blue card for it to work, but I think that's actually my best bet here. I think the odds of me drawing a card and them not having another counterspell, we drew not a blue spell. Yeah. Okay. Well, we lose because we lose because we don't have... our opponent just was playing lands the whole time, and we weren't. So in this matchup, we're going to bring in Mystical Dispute and Pact of Negation. Considering the Blood Moons, Magmatic Sinkhole is not going to do anything here. I'm going to drop one Lightning Bolt. While I think it's important to have Lightning Bolt in the deck for reach, I actually think it's more important to focus on the combo here. Do I want Blood Moon? I think I'm going to bring in a Blood Moon over a Cryptic Command. Cryptic Command can stop my opponent from resolving it through the breach on turn 5 if we were to, like, tap Emrakul when it enters the battlefield, but we would like to play first. That is not a keep. That was a mulligan. This is, in theory, okay. We're going to put back an island, and we will start Scalding Tarn. Pass the turn. Opponent plays a Spirebluff Canal. Fetch up a Steam Vents. Tapped. We untap. Draw Blood Moon. Play Flooded Strand. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. Plays an island. Passes. Okay. On their end step, fetch. Get an island. Opt. Bolt to the bottom. Draw through the breach. Untap. Draw through the breach. Play an island. Pass the turn. Leave up Remand Bolt. Okay. Opponent untaps. Plays Cascade Bluffs. Bolt their face. I want to bait them into, like, remanding or something, but... we draw a Valakut Awakening, which we are just going to play as a land. Pass the turn, leave up Remand. Okay. Opponent untaps. Plays a mountain. We untap. Draw Emrakul. Pass the turn, we got to leave up Remand, or they could just, through the breach, Emrakul us. They bolt our face, sure. Then they're going to Snapcaster Lightning Bolt. Okay. I really wish we'd hit that 5th land. We go to 12. They untap. They play a land. They hit us for 2. We go to 10. We untap. Draw Sulphur Falls. Play Sulphur Falls. Pretty sure there's, like, no way they don't have it on our end step here, but there's not a lot I can do about that. I could have through the breached myself here. We're going to remand. If they have force, it's just game over. Yeah, opponent had it. Well, I guess we'll make them show us Emrakul, but yep. All right. Well, we played against the same deck. Our opponent just had much better draws than us. I'm terrible playing matchups like that. Generally, the mirror match for a deck like that is very difficult for me. I have the same problem with Ad Nauseam when you're 2 linear combo decks. It's a lot easier for me to evaluate lines when my opponent is not playing the same deck I am, and I don't know why that is. But I'll see you guys in round 5. All right, we're on the draw for round 5, and I think this is an okay opener. All right, opponent starts a Copperline Gorge into Shriekhorn, and it's Dredge. Well, we draw through the breach. That's good. Play Island, Serum Visions. We kind of need to try and control to the combo here. Snapcaster, Opt. I don't know if I want Remand. I think we put Opt on top and Remand on the bottom. Pass the turn. Next turn, this gives us Lightning Bolt, Opt, or double Opt. Opponent mills Loam, dredges Loam. They have an Ox in their grave. If they have another land, they can Loam. Second Shriekhorn, and Wooded Foothills. Okay. We draw Opt, play Scalding Tarn, pass the turn. The only problem with Through the Breach Emrakul is through the Breach Emrakul, they generally are going to have enough permanents that, what do you call it? They are going to have enough permanents that just Through the Breach Emrakul is not going to win on the spot. We cannot fetch up a basic mountain if we want to bolt here. Opponent untaps. Okay. Opponent gets to untap. They dredge into a Creeping Chill. They've got a Bloodghast in the grave. They've got multiple Bloodghasts in the grave. So this is the problem with the Transformative sideboard, is we have completely we've completely given up on Grave Hate in order to have Through the Breach, like in order to have the Delver sideboard plan, which is probably what we're going to need to use in this matchup. So opponent loams. They play a land, they get back the Bloodghasts. Well, this is the same amount of damage either way. I'm going to bolt this Prized Amalgam. Serum Visions to the bottom. We draw an Opt, untap, we get a Flooded Strand, play an island, pass the turn. Opponent cycles Forgotten Cave, dredges Loam. And they do mill into a Stinkweed Imp. Okay, they dredge into a Creeping Chill and another Narcomoeba. Yeah, I don't know if I can hide what deck I'm playing, but I'm gonna try, I guess. Alright. I mean, I guess I shouldn't, because if I was, on a combo game plan, that would be tripping them up to try and get them to play against that. But we're going to bring in Delver and Borrower. Definitely Anger as well. And I'm going to cut the Remands, because they're not great, for Moon and Reveler. I'm also going to cut Mana Leak, because I really think counterspells are terrible versus Dredge. We've got to have better starts than this. I'm going to go to 6. Okay, maybe I shouldn't have. Going to 5. Alright, let's do it. Start Flooded Strand, pass the turn. May play Shriekhorn. I think getting a red source here is important, and I am going to opt immediately because I need to draw basically as many cards as I can get. We do need a second red source if we're ever going to cast Anger, but we need something that's not Valakut Stoneforge right now, or Valakut Awakening. Alright, we draw Serum Visions, play an island, Serum Visions. We draw Blood Moon. Oh, I don't think I was supposed to bring in Blood Moon, but it stops them from loaming, which could be important. I'm going to put both of these to the bottom. Pass the turn. Opponent mills into a Prized Amalgam. They untap. Mill on upkeep. Get a loam. And they get to dredge. Hitting a Narcomoeba. Okay, that is less than ideal. Okay, they play Wooded Foothills. They shock a Blood Crypt. And they Cathartic Reunion for a big dredge. Yeah, that's a problem. Even if I draw... I need to draw, like, our Singleton Anger of the Gods, and then a red source. Delver to the bottom. We draw Bolt. Bolt not gonna do very much, and neither is Blood Moon. Blood Moon stops them from casting Loam, but they can still just cast Ox and nuke us. There's a red source. Play an island. Pass the turn. I guess maybe I should have played Flooded Strand to fetch up another Steam Vents. Opponent dredges into a Creeping Chill, takes us to 11. And they have 11 on board. Opponent goes to combat. Attacks. They have Conflagrate, we're just dead. It doesn't matter what I do here. So, alright. We get a treasure chest, so let's go ahead and open up a treasure chest. 20 play points and a Divinity of Pride. Okay, so we've answered a couple of questions by playing this. Is Blue-Red Through the Breach good? Absolutely. We ran into the mirror match in the 3-0 bracket. It's absolutely a good deck. I think it's actually a meta deck. It's very similar to Splinter Twin combo list because it's an assembly of 2 cards that wins the game very quickly. I don't think this is the best list for it, though this is a fine starting list. As you saw, we played very well the first 3 rounds, and we got lots of wins from it. So round 4 proved that I'm terrible at playing the mirror match, and also just not lucky enough to draw lands. I like Valakut Awakening in this deck. I don't know if the no island version is correct. I think it's not quite angle shooting, because angle shooting is trying to gain an illegal advantage by mentally tricking your opponent into taking the wrong line or something like that. But it seems like you're really grasping for percentage points to try and play around choke. Because I have not seen a list play choke. Oh, you know what? No, this is a lie. It's not choke they're worried about, it's boil. I have seen a lot of boil running around, so I think that's reasonable. And I walk back my previous statement as incorrect. Playing around boil by just having a whole bunch of non-island lands, I think is fine. And even then, they still had 1 or 2 islands in the deck to be able to cast stuff through a Blood Moon. So I think the no island mana base is actually reasonable instead of fetches and shocks. Fetches and shocks is still reasonable, but I think the no island mana base is actually cheaper as well and helps you play around Boil. The deck's very good. I don't know if this is the optimal list. It's a decent list. It's a fine starting point. If you're going to go the no island list, you probably want less blue cards than we have in the deck, which, it's just a consideration. The transformative sideboard plan. I've seen a couple different versions of this list from Phoenix, and I mean no disrespect Phoenix at all. I think this list is totally fine, and I would take this list to an F&M and probably beat face with it. I think the Through the Breach game plan is stronger, and I think what you lose in sideboard cards like Grave Hate, Aether Gusts, like Crumble to Dust, or whatever you're going to play for like your anti-Tron hate and stuff like that. I think this deck has a fantastic matchup versus Tron. Just guessing, just looking at it. I think the cards that you lose in the sideboard are not worth the alternate game plan. Because if I was going to play a blue-red Delver beatdown, I want more reach in the main deck than just 4 bolts, 4 Snapcasters. Because like the Snapcaster Beats game plan was fine, even versus Mill. We got a little bit lucky, but like it was still fine. It still got there. I think this is Splinter Twin and blue-red combo decks like this are the kind of decks that have historically, in Modern specifically, been able to run a transformative sideboard plan. It's just like 15 cards is not enough to make a new deck most of the time that will win the same, or that will win in a different enough way that makes swapping the deck worth the swap. I think if I was just playing Through the Breach with an actual sideboard, I would have had a much easier time versus Dredge, and I think the Dredge matchup shows that. The Delver, Bedlam Reveler, Brazen Borrower beatdown plan does work a little bit against the decks that are going to be expecting the combo. I think I did a little bit of that sideboard in the first game, or first round, versus the 5-color Yorion Bring to Light deck. And I think versus that deck, it was definitely worth having this sideboard plan because they're playing a main deck Memoricide effect in the form of Unmoored Ego. So if there is a lot of Surgical Extraction, Unmoored Ego, Memoricide, Necromentia, there's like 3 more of those effects that are 3 mana and black. If you're playing in a local metagame with a lot of those effects, or you start running into it a lot on Moto, I think having a transformational sideboard to actually take out the Emrakul Through the Breach combo is reasonable. Because if they just, through like Unmoored Ego Through the Breach, what are you going to do? You're going to have 4 bolts and 4 snaps. And that may not be enough to get there, especially versus a deck that is like as heavy mid-range / control as Yorion Bring to Light is. And I think with these 2 game plans, or similar game plans, you would have a stronger time playing a Delver or like Bolt Snap, Bolt Beatdown, Burn, Counter Burn, whatever you want to call it. I think that should be the primary game plan. And then you bring in the old Through the Breach surprise when they start sideboarding like your Blitz or Burn or something like that. Phoenix recommended that to me, and that's not... So, like, me playing this in this configuration when I knew it wasn't the optimal configuration going in, I mean, no disrespect to Phoenix by that at all. It was me being too lazy to actually figure out, well, what is supposed to be sideboarded and how. I wanted to play the list as intended originally, and I think this list is totally fine. I don't think the transformational sideboard plan is strong enough, and that has been my experience with every single transformational sideboard I have ever seen. Even like way back in the day when Twin would just like change up into blue-red tempo or blue-red control. Now I could see maybe it would be worth trying. Instead of going like aggressive beatdown, maybe we side out the Emrakuls and the Through the Breaches. We bring in like a 3rd Cryptic Command, a 3rd Force, 2 more Mana Leaks, and then like some planes, like 2 Jace and 2 Ralzeric, and we start playing like the infinite counterspell Is It control deck because then it goes from like trying to play an aggressive tempo plan to playing a hard control deck. Now, whether or not there's enough sideboard slots for that, whether or not, you still are going to run into the issues of not having the proper sideboard cards to play against something like Dredge, I think that's still an issue. But I think I've rambled enough about this. I like the deck. I like playing through the breach. Phoenix, you got me to like playing through the breach because before this, I did not like playing that game plan. So you were successful there, and I think the deck's a fine deck. Um, did I open my treasure? Yeah, I opened the treasure chest. Okay, good. Anyway, that's all I've got that's for recording right now. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like, drop a comment, subscribe to the channel if you're so inclined. We're very, very close to that all-important 1,000 subscriber mark. Getting me to monetization has been a goal for a very long time, so if you haven't subscribed by now, please consider doing so. It would mean the world to me if you did. And to everybody who's watched this far, I want you to know that you're all wonderful human beings, and I really appreciate the support on my channel. I like more and more every day. I feel like a legitimate content creator. I like, it's way back in the day, way back when. It's kind of like, who is this guy? Is he, how good is his opinion on things? Does it really matter? Does he play a lot of Magic? Does he know what he's talking about? I just see him play Tron all the time. He counts to 7 and 1, 2, 7. What could he know about playing anything else? Like, you have that imposter syndrome, and I got to thinking about it today, and I was like, I've been playing Magic for like 10 years now, 9 years now, pretty consistently the whole time, and for the most part in a relatively competitive scene. So having the validation that I get from all of my viewers, the positive comments outweigh the negative comments like 20 to 1. It's amazing. And I really think you guys are excellent. There's a pretty consistent attitude among the people who watch me regularly, and I have to say that I'm very, very happy, like how cool you guys are, and how fun it is to talk to you guys, how fun it is to stream with you guys, and to talk to you guys across the week in the Discord. Links in the description below if you want to hang out with other cool people. And it's a good time, and I'm really happy that I have this part, like this, in my life. So anyway, I've rambled, got sappy long enough. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next one. You guys are all wonderful human beings. Yeah. Bye.